All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something, we all deal with, and that is how to make learning really effective, especially when it feels like, new info just kind of bounces right off.
Yeah.
I mean, we all want to find, the smarter ways to understand things
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
quickly and, thoroughly, but without feeling overwhelmed by all the details,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's why we're doing this deep dive
Oh,
today.
right.
And so our mission, I guess you could say, is to really get into this fascinating approach, what they call mnemonic instruction,
Right. Right.
which at its core, and maybe you could talk a little bit about this, but it's about building these stronger connections, right,
Right.
between new info and what you already know.
Yeah. It's really about making meaningful connections between, what's coming in and what's already there.
Right.
And we're going to look at an academic paper that has really investigated this technique
Okay.
and a lot of practical applications.
Yeah. So this research, I think, it gets to the heart of the matter for a lot of people, especially for folks who have struggled with learning in the past. And, a key point that was made by Kale and Leonard back in '86, they said, look, research on learning, it needs to directly inform how we teach. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
can't just be about these abstract differences between learners.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be about how we actually take that research and apply it.
And it needs to be relevant to instruction. Like it should
Yeah.
just be theoretical.
Exactly, exactly. So that's, a key insight right there.
Yeah.
And so this paper, it kind of traces how these mnemonic techniques, how they first started in the lab,
All
right?
right.
And then they moved into real classrooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are a couple of, I mean, I don't know, what would you say are like the core principles behind these
I
methods?
think the two biggest ones are meaningfulness.
Yeah.
Right? Like making the information relatable and concreteness.
Yeah.
So taking something that's very abstract and making it more tangible. So, we might think about like the keyword method, where you're linking a new word to a familiar sound, or the peg word method, where you're using rhymes to remember a list. These are just kind of, our initial examples.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we'll get into much more.
So to really get into this, let's kind of lay out some of the challenges in learning, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that really comes up a lot in the research is difficulties with memory.
Yeah.
And this is especially true for students with learning disabilities.
Right.
And researchers, they use the term LD
Yeah. Yeah.
as a shorthand.
Yeah.
And so, studies from Torgeson and Huck and Torgeson and Goldman, back in the late '70s, early '80s, they really showed this, that memory can be a real hurdle.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is that there's this ongoing debate about the nature of these memory difficulties.
Yeah.
Like some researchers like Swanson and Valutino and Scanlon, they say that it could be that these challenges stem from like how people are processing language.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you are struggling to understand or use language, that could have an impact on how well you remember information.
Right. It's almost like, if the input's not clear, then it's hard to, store it and get it back out later.
Exactly, exactly. But then on the other hand, you have people like Baker and his colleagues who are saying that it might not be just language.
Right.
It could be that people with LD, that they have some differences in their semantic memory.
Uh-huh.
So semantic memory is like that, mental dictionary or encyclopedia that we all carry around.
Right.
And they're saying that the way that information is structured and accessed, that might be different in folks with LD.
Interesting. So it's like, even just the basic organization of facts and, what a bird is or what money means, that might be structured differently.
Right, right. And they were saying that this could then lead to difficulties in things like naming objects or describing things or recalling verbal information.
Mm-hmm.
And even more, like, even beyond that, these differences in the way that semantic memory is organized,
Mm-hmm.
they can actually be compounded by challenges in how they actually process that information.
Oh, I see.
So it's sort of a feedback loop,
Yeah.
and it's making it even more difficult.
And then, you got Cece's work in '85, which added another like really interesting layer to this, right?
Mhm.
Which is he found that students with LD, they tend to struggle more with what he called purposive semantic processing,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to automatic processing.
Yeah.
So, automatic processing is like remembering your own name.
Yeah.
It just happens.
It's automatic.
It's automatic.
Yeah.
But purposive processing is like when you're actively trying to learn something new.
Right.
like a definition or a concept or something like
Right.
that.
That's very intentional.
Yeah, and so Cece's research, it suggested that the real challenge for a lot of students with LD, it's in this active, intentional effort to learn and remember.
Right.
Okay, so this is actually a really important distinction, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about, encountering information, it's about actively engaging with it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where some learners, struggle more.
Exactly. And so this led him to this really interesting conclusion,
Yeah.
which was instead of trying to focus on fixing some deficit in the brain,
Right.
maybe a better approach is to train information processing strategies.
Right.
So these are techniques that can actually help students actively engage with
Yeah.
and remember this new information.
Yeah, yes.
So things like collaborative encoding,
Right.
where you're really thinking deeply about the information and connecting it to things you already know.
Right.
And this kind of brings us to the mnemonic keyword method, that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
And this is, a great example of this type of strategy.
So this is like Atkinson came up with this in 75.
Right.
And I think initially he was really looking at language learning,
Yep.
right? So how do we take a new word and find a way to kind of, hang on to it?
Right. Right, exactly. And the core idea is to take that unfamiliar word and try to find a familiar keyword that sounds similar.
Right.
And then you try to create some kind of vivid mental image that links that keyword to the actual meaning of the original word.
Right. So it's almost like, you're making this kind of a memorable connection.
Right.
Maybe a little silly, but
Right, yeah.
but it's a way to kind of initially grasp it.
Yeah, and a good example is the Ornith bird example.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ornith sounds a bit like oar, right?
It does, yeah.
And then you can picture a bird carrying an oar.
Right. Right.
So then when you see Ornith again, you think oar,
Mm-hmm.
you think of that image, and then hopefully you remember that it means bird.
Right. Right. It's like you're building this little bridge in your mind
Exactly.
between something you don't know and something you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the initial idea behind using this with students with LD was that it provides very specific procedures for encoding.
Yep.
Like getting that information in and retrieval.
Right.
So getting it back out.
Right.
And it had shown promise in, with students who didn't have LD.
Yeah.
But, as they point out in this paper,
Yeah.
there's no guarantee that this would work automatically.
Right. Right.
For students with LD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? There were some important questions that needed to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could these students even handle the steps involved in creating these keywords and images?
Right.
Would they be able to focus on the relevant parts and ignore distractions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could they even come up with their own strategies?
Yeah.
And ultimately, would this actually make the information meaningful to them in a way that would lead to long-term recall?
Right. Right. I mean, those are all really critical questions. And
Yeah.
so, a lot of the early research, it focused on vocabulary, didn't it?
It did, yeah, and I think that makes sense.
Because vocabulary is so, foundational
Foundational, yeah.
to so many subjects, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Master Pieri and her colleagues, they did a number of experiments in 1985 with middle school students
Mm-hmm.
with LD.
Okay.
And they were comparing the keyword method to just traditional drill and practice for learning low-frequency words.
Right.
Words that students probably wouldn't encounter very often.
Right.
Words like carline,
Right.
dog bane, bugsha.
Oh yeah, those are tough ones.
Right.
So carline means wish, dogbane means plant, bugshow means money.
Right. Yeah.
And the keywords they used were, pretty direct. So it was
Right.
like car for carline, dog for dogbane, bug for bugsha.
Yeah.
And the images were designed to be, easy to visualize.
Right.
Like a car driving a wish.
Okay. Yeah. And the results were pretty clear.
Yeah.
The students who were taught using the keyword method did significantly better than those who were just doing drill and practice,
Okay.
which really highlights the idea that this active engagement, even through creating these mental images,
Yeah.
that can lead to much better outcomes.
Right. It's not just, seeing it over and over. It's about
Yeah.
making this connection.
Exactly. And what was even more interesting was that, in a follow-up, they had the LD students generate their own images
Oh, wow.
based on the keywords.
Yeah.
And they still did much better than the drill and practice group.
Oh, that's a really powerful finding.
It is. It suggests that it's not just being told the mnemonic, it's that active creation
Yeah, yeah.
that really helps.
Okay, so this wasn't just a fluke, like this one study.
Right.
They saw this in other research as well.
They did. So, similar positive results were seen with students who were classified as mild but mentally retarded. Scruggs and his team did a study in 85.
Yeah.
And this kind of trend continued, across various vocabulary tasks.
Right.
So McLuhan and his colleagues in 86, they looked at English, Italian word pairs.
Okay.
And Vet, also in 86, looked at Greek root words.
Oh, wow.
So things like ptero, meaning winged, or soar, meaning lizard.
Oh, okay.
And that's interesting because if you understand these root words,
Yeah.
then you can figure out all kinds of other words.
Yeah, pterodactyl.
Exactly, pterodactyl.
Right, yeah.
So it's giving you these tools to unlock language.
Right, right.
And then they also looked at, it wasn't just these concrete words, they
Yeah.
looked at abstract words as well.
Okay.
So Master Pieri and her team, they did a follow-up in 89,
Yeah.
and they looked at both abstract and concrete vocabulary
Right.
with junior high students with LD.
Okay.
And, sometimes the words weren't easy to visualize or
Yeah.
to find obvious keywords for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the word vituperation,
Vituperation, right.
which means abusive speech.
Yeah.
And in that study, they used the keyword viper
Okay.
with a mental image of a viper engaging in abusive speech.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So you can see how that's a little bit more creative.
Yeah.
It's less direct.
It's less direct.
Right.
Okay.
But even with these more challenging words, the students who used the mnemonic keyword method still did significantly better than those who were just rehearsing the words.
Okay. So it's not just about, if it's a visual thing,
Yeah.
it can even work with abstract concepts.
Exactly.
Okay, so they kind of established that it works with vocabulary.
Right.
And then they moved on to okay, how do we...
More complex tasks.
Yeah, how do we
Sure.
use this for things that are, not just a word and a meaning?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's where the peg word thing comes in.
Yeah, so peg words are like rhyming words
Okay.
that are associated with numbers in a sequence.
So one is a bun, two is a shoe, and so on.
Right, okay.
And they provide this ready-made structure for remembering lists.
Oh, okay.
So the idea was to combine those with the keyword method
Yeah,
to create this keyword peg word system.
right.
So Mastro Pieri and her colleagues in 85,
Yeah.
they looked at teaching the hardness level of different minerals
Okay.
using Mohs scale,
Okay.
which is a numbered scale.
Right.
And so for the mineral pyrite, which has a hardness of 6,
Yeah.
they used the keyword pi
Okay.
and the peg word for 6, which is sticks.
Okay.
So the students would imagine a pie resting on sticks.
Okay. Yeah.
So now there's this extra step.
Right.
You have to recall the peg word associated with the number
Yeah.
and then link that to the keyword.
Yeah.
But even with that extra step, the students who used the keyword peg word method, they still did much better than those who were just studying on their own.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Okay.
So Master Pieri's team in 86, they found that it was effective not only with students with LD in their regular classrooms,
Right.
but also with those classified as mildly mentally retarded.
Okay.
So it really shows the potential for different learners.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they started to incorporate, even more details into these pictures.
Oh, okay.
So Scruggs and his team in 85, they were using these elaborate pictures
Okay.
that integrate multiple attributes,
Right.
like the color, the use,
Okay.
the hardness level, all in one picture.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So for pyrite, you might have a yellow pie
Right.
resting on explosives and held up by 6 sticks.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
But I guess, you're building that connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And, they started to use symbolic representations.
Okay.
So instead of, direct depictions,
Right.
they would use an old man for a hard mineral, a baby for a soft one.
Oh, okay.
In another study in 85, Master Pieri and her team explored this. They were looking at, these dichotomies like hardness,
Yeah.
color, blackened or not blackened,
Right.
use, factory versus home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for pyrite, you might see an old man throwing a not blackened pie in a factory setting.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, the results really favored mnemonic instruction.
Okay. So they're really building up these, increasingly complex systems,
Sure.
right, to tackle all these different learning tasks. But I mean, I guess a lot of this was done in really controlled settings. Right?
Yeah, it was often one-on-one or in small groups.
Yeah.
Led by experimenters.
So, how does this translate to a real classroom?
Right. And that's the next step.
Yeah.
To really figure out the value of something like this.
Right.
So they had to see how it works in these authentic environments
Right.
over longer periods of time
Yeah, yeah.
with teachers doing the teaching.
So that's where those studies involving extended mnemonic instruction come in.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Veit and colleagues in '86, they did a study that focused on teaching students about prehistoric reptiles.
Okay.
And they developed a series of 3 lessons taught over several days
Right.
to small groups of middle school students with LD in their classrooms.
Okay.
And each lesson used different mnemonic techniques.
Okay.
So one was about using Greek root words
Right.
to learn the names.
Okay.
Another was about learning attributes,
Yeah.
using color symbols for their diet, the setting,
Right.
like the geological period.
Right.
And then another was about, like, the reasons for dinosaur extinction,
Okay.
using the peg word method.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and they compared this to a drill and practice approach,
Yeah.
which was also led by the researchers.
Okay.
And that was very structured. It was fast-paced, direct questioning, choral responding, feedback, review.
Wow. Okay. They really went all in on that.
They did.
Okay.
But even compared to that, the students who received the mnemonic instruction, they did better on all the assessments
Wow.
for the individual lessons
Wow.
and the final cumulative test.
Oh, wow.
And what was also interesting is that they didn't find that students got more confused over the 3 days.
Oh.
That was important.
Yeah, they weren't getting overloaded.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're demonstrating that, it can be effective over multiple lessons.
Yeah, and it's leading to better retention.
Yeah. And then, it seems like they wanted to, how do we make this so students can use it more independently?
Right.
Right. So that's where embedding it in the materials comes in.
Exactly. So Scruggs and his team in '87
Yeah.
and Master Peary in the same year, they were exploring the strategy of embedding the pictures right into the text.
Oh, okay.
So like passages about minerals or dinosaur extinction.
Yeah.
And the idea was to see if the students could read independently
Right.
and use those illustrations to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And this actually challenged some earlier ideas, which said that illustrations can be distracting for LD students.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So it was thought that, pictures could be a bad thing.
Right, right.
But, I guess if they're designed in the right way, they can actually help.
Right, and that's what they found. So the students with LD, they actually benefited from having these illustrations embedded in the text.
Okay.
They did better on recall tests compared to those who had just generic pictures.
Yeah.
Or no pictures at all.
Yeah. So this was like a step towards making it more, practical.
Yeah, more for the everyday classroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And suggesting that the visuals can support comprehension and memory
Right. Right.
when they're done in this way.
So they've got the direct instruction. They've got it embedded in the materials.
Right.
What was next?
So the next big focus was on adapting existing curriculum materials.
Okay.
So instead of creating new content,
Yeah.
they wanted to use stuff that teachers were already using.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Make it easier for teachers to adopt.
Yeah. So they looked at a chapter on World War I
Okay.
from a common U.S. history textbook.
Okay.
And that's where the concept of reconstructive elaborations really comes in.
Okay. So that's like, that sounds like a pretty key idea.
It is. It is.
Like what is that?
So Master Peary and Scruggs, they recognize that not all information is equally easy to remember,
Right.
right? Or to visualize.
Yeah.
Some of it might be familiar, some of it might be really abstract.
Right.
So they created a framework for classifying the content
Okay.
based on how meaningful and how concrete it is.
Okay.
And then, based on that, they designed different mnemonic strategies
Okay.
that would work for each type.
Oh, okay.
So like acoustic reconstructions, symbolic reconstructions, and mimetic reconstructions.
Okay.
So if the information is completely new,
Yeah.
like a foreign name or a new concept,
Right.
that's where you'd use the acoustic reconstruction.
Okay. So it's almost like that's the, the keyword method.
Yeah, it's essentially the keyword method.
Right. Right.
And so, for example, in the World War I chapter, the Zimmerman incident
Right.
might be unfamiliar to students.
Yeah.
So they used swimmer as a keyword for Zimmerman.
Okay.
And they created an image of a swimmer carrying a note to Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So it's linking the name to something concrete.
Right. Right. So if you have something totally new, find a sound alike.
Exactly.
Oh.
Now, if the information has some meaning,
Yeah.
but it's still abstract,
Okay.
like U.S. neutrality before World War I,
Right.
that's where you'd use a symbolic reconstruction.
Okay.
So they used Uncle Sam,
Yeah.
deliberately not getting involved in Europe.
Right.
So neutrality might have some meaning,
Yeah.
but the visual makes it more concrete.
Right, okay.
And then for information that's already concrete, like
Yeah.
conditions in the trenches,
Right.
you would use a mimetic reconstruction. So just a vivid image of, sick soldiers in the trenches.
Right, right.
And they also addressed learning lists,
Yeah.
like remembering the Allied and Central Powers.
You're right, right.
By developing these first letter strategies.
Okay.
So for the Central Powers,
Yeah.
they use Central Park and then an image of kids playing tag in the park.
Oh,
So
yeah.
tag is for the first letters of the countries.
Oh, I see.
Germany, Austria-Hungary, Turkey.
Right.
And then for the Allied powers, they used Allied van
Yeah.
and an image of fire inside the van,
Okay, yeah.
representing the first letters of those nations.
So it's almost like you're creating these little filing systems in your mind, right?
Mhm.
With these, ways to get to the information.
Yeah.
Okay, so they did like a validation study to
Yeah.
see if all this stuff worked.
They did. Scruggs and Mastropieri, in '89, they developed a whole text on World War I
Right.
with all these different elaborations.
Yeah.
They taught it to adolescents with mild handicaps, and the students who used the mnemonically adapted text, they showed much better recall,
Okay.
both immediately after the lesson and after a delay.
Oh, okay.
And the biggest benefits were for the information that was least meaningful to the students,
No, okay.
which was what they predicted.
So it's really showing that, when you tailor the approach to the type of information,
Right, right.
it can be really powerful.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess the next question is, can teachers actually use this,
Yeah.
in their classrooms?
Right.
Right. So they did some studies that looked at teacher-led implementation.
They did. So in one of the early studies, Scruggs and Mastropieri in '89, they had a special ed teacher use mnemonically adapted chapters
Okay.
on World War I and the Great Depression,
Right.
and then they used traditionally taught chapters on other topics.
Okay.
And the test scores were significantly higher for the mnemonic chapters.
Oh, wow.
And the teacher even reported that the materials were much more appropriate for her students' needs.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So not only did the scores go up, but the teacher felt like it was a better fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the students' grades went from like an average of a D+ to a B.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then they did like a more rigorous study, didn't they?
They did. Mastropieri and Scruggs in '88.
Yeah.
They did a study with multiple classrooms,
Okay.
and they controlled the order of instruction.
Right.
And again, the mnemonic instruction led to higher scores.
Okay.
And this was consistent across different chapters and classrooms.
Okay.
And it was maintained on a delayed recall test.
Oh, okay.
And again, the teachers rated the materials as more appropriate, and they said
Yeah.
there was more interest and motivation.
Oh, so the students were into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And the students themselves, they said that they enjoyed learning more,
Oh, okay.
and they wanted to use these methods in other subjects.
Oh, that's